we're today just going to pop in and check on the two small hives, the two swarms, see how they're doing. They both need feed. This one's gotten a little rank, but they've drank most of it. That one, last time I checked, was full of fucking ants because of that stupid Bee Smart Designs. Not entirely smart because of the way it allows ants in. And there's some sort of weird bug. So again, on this, I'm going to do a couple things. Check on the super weak hive. They did have recently a big brood expansion because there were just a ton more bees popping out of the front. You can see here, last time I inspected these, no bees come in going hardly at all, or at least a very low rate. And now it is much higher than that. So today we're going to hop in here and check on them. And probably I've got some wet supers from honey I harvested this week, but some of them were former brood frames anyway. So that I converted to supers, but via the Demaree. Frames are stuck. So I'll take... Alright, let me just get some smoke on these gals. They're going to light me up because I'm monkeying with them. What was I saying? I'm going to get some of these frames were brood frames that then I moved up to super via the Demaree. Man, all of those are stuck. That's annoying. Whoa. They love that when you do that. I gotta get a bucket to pour this garbage into. So I'll just take those frames and put them in here. That way they have less work to do. That's just gross. Oh, and I just poured it all over my foot. That's really gross. I was hoping to keep it in here and not make a mess. I was not successful. Alright, gals. Hopefully mama's not up there. A little bit of burr comb up there, but still nowhere near what the stupid Dedant one does. All over my foot. Now I'm going to have bees. Piss. Alright. Frame wrist. Alright. Still not a ton of production here, so I'm definitely going to give these girls at least 5 of those old brood frames just to help them speed up and not have to draw out so much. So get off of there, gals. Yep, I'll stick these in here because what I'll probably do is give the I'm hoping the swarm I caught off the trap over here is ready for a super, because if it is, then I'll just give them emptier frames, but with a couple of the ones that have been worked on. They're up to about 4.5 frames instead of 3.5. She's still laying well. Again, she probably just doesn't have enough population. She's slowly getting there, so I need to give them a boost. My plan to give them a boost via the stealing from other hives didn't work, and then the other plan was to, when I was harvesting the honey, hop in there and grab one from the monster hive, and I just forgot it because I was harvesting all those stupid frames and burning up. So I don't see her on there, so we'll scoot that over. There's only 4 frames to check, so we might as well look at them all. And then again, I'll replace with, I mean, look at that. That's gorgeous. She's laying well. I see larva, a ton of capped brood there. Same here. She's doing well. Just she's doesn't have enough frames to lay into and doesn't have enough bees to help with that. So thinking if I give her some drawn frames, should really help boost production. Because then they're not putting those they're not drawing the food down to make for food. They're drawing it down. Or they're drawing it down for food, not to make comb, because they really haven't done that because they need it for food. Still don't see her. Of course, I rarely see her because I'm blind in one eye, I can't see out the other. And even when there's a small number of bees on here, it's hard to see her. Wonky comb there, but there's brood. There's larvae all in that. You can see in those cells, tons of it. So, maybe last, mostly last frame that's drawn out completely. The other one's drawn out partially, so that's what, 5 frames that are drawn. Oh man, that's a monster. That's got all the food on it. Oh my goodness, yeah. So that's what they're putting. That's hilarious. They're putting all the resources on one frame. All right, last frame that has something partially drawn, and again, it's looks like resources. Yeah, see. Yep. So I didn't see her, but again, that didn't mean anything. I never see them. So let's do this. Let's we'll just pull all those that I get off there, gals. Nope, you don't want to be in the other hive. I don't think. Maybe you do. I don't know. So we'll pull these off. The ones that I haven't drawn anything on, because I mean, they're not serving much value in there. And stick on these wet supers. I did put these wet supers in a pronuc box because when I was putting wet supers back on the other night on the monster hive, pretty sure I'd do some robbing because, well, wet supers probably getting near the end of the flow, so things got exciting and I didn't want them to get exciting. All right, now then, let's just bring this over here so it's right in front of me, right behind me. Again, these were supers, but they had obviously had brood in them before because it was the Demaree ones. So they're, yeah, they're obviously look more like brood frames than they do super or honey frames, and we'll let them clean those up / fill them with more brood, hopefully. I mean, if she's a good laying queen and they clean those up relatively quickly, they'll be able to burn and turn and lay a metric shit ton of eggs. And this thing will really hopefully get going. Bunch of bees over here, so I don't squash them. All right, let's even those out a little bit. All right, I don't care about that burr comb. It's just going to attach to the other burr comb that's already there. I'll wipe that out and clean it out later because I might have to come back out here with the feed that I didn't bring. I didn't make up. So yeah, we'll close them back up, and like I said, between those 5 drawn frames I just gave them, plus I'll give them more juice. Ah, shit, I forgot to bring pollen patties. Damn it. Well, when I feed the feeder, I'll just pop it back open and throw one in there. So and I'll have to do that with this hive too, because I meant to give them both pollen patties. All right, gals, I need you to get off the top. Okay, there's 2 bees right there. I'm just trying to, there you go. All right, so that's done. Again, we'll come back with feed and then the pollen patties that I forgot. But I got to wipe that thing out because it's gross. And I don't want to do that while I'm inspecting because I just end up getting gross when I'm in the next hive. So, all right, onto this one. Yeah, they drank this dry and it's fucking full of ants. I hate that so much. Let's see. Move this out of the way. So again, full of ants. They've drank it all, so it shouldn't be a spill as much. I did put a metric shit ton of Vaseline around the top of this last time just to try to prevent that from happening. Alright, let's see. Oh well, yeah. I put several frames in here last time that were partially drawn or from the other one, and they definitely need a super. Rock on. Or need a new box. So, which will be a super, because this is a deep now. And I run the mullet setup. I haven't smoked these girls at all. I'm get lost in what I'm doing sometimes and forget to do the thing. Alright. That made a buzz. Alright, let's go here, clear frame, and then just do a quick check. Yeah, several of these are ones that I had from the... That's a ton of resources. Several of these are ones I had that had resources I'm still from the small hive that didn't make it last year, which was a combination of 2 small hives that This still is freaking happening, which annoys the piss out of me. They're just pulling it off the comb. I'm going to have to smash all that in eventually. There's one frame here in the middle that has brood all over it that's like that. It's just annoying. Oh, that's gorgeous though. Oh, I'm pointing the camera, pointing the wrong spot. Obviously it's starting to go and they're backfilling with more larvae, so I see in the backfill, so grow, grow, grow. Again, and then the next frame's wonky as shit, so it's I don't know why they did that. I mean, some of these had good really good wax on them, but they still wonky drew them. This is the one that's screwed up, so I gotta be careful here. Kill the queen, because they've mashed them together. Oh, that's the stupid thing. Again, she could be underneath there. Probably is underneath there. But I gotta be careful, because if I flip it over, it'll go flying. It's the same way on the other side. So annoying. I can see bees underneath the wax. I can see it off the frame there. Again, that's dangerous for me. I don't want to turn it the other way. Here, let's do this. So that, once that brood goes completely, I'm just going to pull that damn frame out. It's just a hot mess that is just getting messier. Smash that in at the top so I can, hopefully, they might detach it, but I don't want it coming unattached while I'm working the hive. Alright, next one is, yeah, better. Well drawn out. Look at that. Like you're supposed to, dummies. Same over here. Next one's wonky. Good lord. It's like every other frame's wonky. It's not like... Some of these might be those cheaper frames from that bee castle thing, but again, I'd wax the piss out of them. Alright. Still plenty of stuff here, I think, enough to go ahead and... Because that's resources, that's resources. I'm going to go ahead and add another box. I think they'll be fine. Especially when all that brood goes. Might be a little early, but I'm going to feed the piss out of them anyway, so it should be fine. Alright, let's put this back on here, and I'm going to give them a couple frames of drawn comb anyway for the top one. Alright. So let's grab this box, pull, what do I have, 4 frames here. Yep, 4 frames of drawn old former brood comb. And then, so pull 4 frames out. So stick this on here. Like I said, I'll come back with pollen patties. Okay, well, I guess I'm gonna have to lift this box up to install those just to avoid them being too low. Alright, or it being too high. Because again, if I'm going to give them this much space, I want them growing fast. There, same thing here. Again, former brood frames that harvested. Get these in the frame or box quickly before I create some robin. Actually, that one wasn't that broody, but that's all right. Alright, we'll get out of there now. Put this back on. Alright, feed her back on. I'll come back, like I said, I'll come back out. That'll give them a chance to calm down. But I'll come back out, stick pollen patties back on both, clean out the top feeders. I should have done that now, but I didn't bring the rags and stuff I need. Actually, I'll tell you what I might do. Well, I gotta run back and get the other stuff too, and there's bees here and below this. So let's just put that back there, and then I'll be back. Because there's no point in trying to do all that with it still open. Alright, so just for the sake of my notes, we'll come back, clean this out, add a pollen patty that I'll cut up a couple pieces so it's smaller. And basically same thing here, clean this out, wipe it out, new 1-to-1, and pollen patty. GoPro, stop recording. All right, we're back, and I decided to go ahead and record because I realized there were several things that I kind of straight up forgot last time, especially after I opened this up to clean it out, and I cleaned that out off camera because that would have been silly, and realized it was full of what I assume are small hive beetle larvae. And if that's the case, obviously I need to get some traps in there and resolve that because I can't have that. So I'll go ahead and add traps to both hives to make sure we don't have that problem, because I mean this hive is weak enough that small hive beetles can wipe them out. That's what happened to the other one, or the just one from John's farm last year. It just got steamrolled. So going into this one, I've got somewhere pollen patties, I've got apple cider vinegar that I forgot to put in the 1-to-1. I got the 1-to-1. What did I do with the apple cider vinegar? Over here. So let me go over here. Just gonna do a little, but I didn't, forgot to, so I figured I'd just do a splashy splash. All right, so let's get in here. We're gonna get back in the box. I'm gonna try not to smoke them, but we'll see. See if they're okay with me just taking a peeky peek and adding the trap and pollen patties. Pollen patties first. Look out, girls. Come on, look out. Try to cut it up in relatively small pieces so that if there is a small hive beetle issue, they're not going to get overrun. And now we'll get this trap. These are the 3D printed ones I bought at Nobby. I like them because they're more easily, they seem to close better than the ones that are like I'm going to put in the other one, the other refillable ones and reusable ones. But I just wish this piece was hinged in so it didn't come loose, because it just makes it more likely it's going to splash out and do whatever. Man, I swear this hive looks like it's got a million more bees in it after I put those. Of course, it maybe have. Maybe it's just robbers in here. Who knows? It just looks like there's a gajillion more bees. It's probably just that all the bees that are in here are now all over those wet supers cleaning them out. So, small hive beetle trap, pollen patties, this back on. Do a little splishy splash. I'm supposed to do 1 like tablespoon per gallon, so I'm just going to do so hopefully I won't get that mold I had last time. That's probably more than enough. So you can do bleach too, and I've done that before. Maybe I did it last time on this, but the idea of just pouring bleach in to feed your bees feels weird. But 1 ounce a gallon, that's probably, honestly, that's probably more than they need. Maybe the problem last time is I had too much, but I'm ready to get it mixed up, and hopefully, well, nothing else, they'll suck it down and fill those frames I just added, which isn't ideal, but at least they'll have it. Alright, and now let's get these gals to, need you gals to go back to the front door. Thank you. You too. Like 3 bees. Get out. Oh, I knocked one of them into the feed. Come on, grab my finger. There you go. And back on. Great. Alright, same process over here. Use that slightly gross feeder. Let's see if is that closing well. Yeah, good enough. Yeah, these, they tend to propose the shit out of the top slats. Which is really stupid because then it makes them not effective. I'll go ahead and do this before I open the hive up. This is a mix of vegetable oil and apple cider vinegar. Apparently the apple cider vinegar attracts the small hive beetles, but when I opened this earlier to clean out the ants and everything else, there were tons of larvae, like teeny larvae everywhere, which I'm pretty sure were small hive beetle larvae. Alright, bees have already started making their way up here through that other box, which is kind of awesome. Yeah, they're up here. It's wild. And they went to those wet supers like, well, like honey to wet supers. But there's bees all over this. It's kind of crazy. I am going to go ahead and put those pollen patties in the bottom because it's probably a better place for them. Let's see, let's get the Top of that. If this hive stays here, it's getting the pallets instead of these blocks, because when I don't have a place to set my, see right there, girls, when I don't have a spot to set my stuff other than on the ground, I don't like that. So, all right, again, take this off of here. Man, their bees are all over that. That's hilarious. Well, they didn't like that, but they'll get over it once I get back to the wet supers. Here I'm giving them bigger chunks because this hive is a little stronger. Look out, gals. That basically got a quarter of a patty. This will get half a patty. Spread them out a little bit so they don't squish somebody underneath there. Sorry. Get out of the way. Alright. And then again, it's funny. Look at that. They are covering those wet supers I put back in there. I mean, shocker. I'm really curious to see what the monster hive looks like after putting 2 wet supers back in it. I imagine they might be filling them up already. Might have filled them up already. Damn it. Small hive beetle trap. I'll put it up here. I think they tend to run them high anyway. Well, yeah. I'm not going to move that box again. Let's just put them here and move on about business. I'm going to put it over here to the corner just so it doesn't risk spilling on the brood. Squish that together. Ah, and then I fucking spill it onto the brood. Dummy. Oh, and there's all my pollen patties falling off the bottom of the box. On this week's episode of The Clumsy Beekeeper, alright, that goes there. Pretty sure I just got stung in the hand. And then there's one on the bottom somewhere. Should be. Where the hell did it go? Well, that's wild. It must have flopped off somewhere onto the ground. Looky, 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 and eventually give up because it's not worth the time. That's wild. I don't know where it went. Probably go back and watch the video later and see where it went. Yeah, I'm sure it just flopped off when I lifted that up. Now let's try what I did with it. Try to put this back in there without dropping it through the damn hive. That's the other problem I don't like with these. They don't stay as well. Alright. That's back on there. Really annoys me that I can't find the pollen patty that clearly fell off somewhere. There it is. I stepped on it. Oh, that's gross. Yeah, that's not worth giving them back to him. Alright, so this back on. Try to avoid the Vaseline that's around the top. Give you a splash. It's like a teaspoon per, teaspoon per gallon, so that was exactly a teaspoon, I'm pretty sure, or exactly whatever this is equivalent to. And then feed these back on. That's astounding. I mean, obviously, even this year's first time I put wet supers back on because I've always harvested in the fall because I didn't have enough bees or enough honey to harvest earlier. But with the Demaree on that monster hive, obviously I did, on the 2 hives, just fascinating to watch them just go bananas over wet supers. Again, it's not surprising, but it's cool to see the first time. Small hive beetle trap on, pollen patties back on, other than the quarter I stepped on. Fed. Yeah, we're golden. Got the stupid. Get out there. Get out. Thank you. Hopefully the ants won't be as prolific this time with their other stuff around there. The words. Vaseline, but they probably will. I don't care. They just go in there and die. They don't ever make it out. So, all right, GoPro, stop recording.